Hello everyone, I am Divya Prakash. So today I am going to discuss about Apache Hive. So let's get started. So the contents of the presentations are Hadoop, Hive Introduction, Features of Hive, Hive Architecture, Button with Hive, and Hive Queries. So firstly, before moving on to the Hive, I would like to discuss about Hadoop. So what is Hadoop? Hadoop is an open source framework used to store and process big data. So it mainly contains two modules. One is for MapReduce and the other one is HDFS, which is a Hadoop distributed file system. So MapReduce means it is a parallel programming model for processing large amounts of structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. Whereas HDFS means it is used to store and process the data sets. It is more of a file storage. Now let's move on to the Hive. So Hive is a data warehouse system which is built on the top of Hadoop, and it is especially used for managing the large data sets, and it was developed by Facebook. And using Hive, we will be able to read, write, and manage the data. Using Hive, we can skip the requirement of traditional approach of writing the MapReduce programs. And Hive also supports data definition language, data manipulation language, and user-defined functions. So now let's discuss about features of Hive. Hive is fast and scalable, and it provides a SQL-like queries that are implicitly transformed to MapReduce or Spark charts. And it is used for analyzing the large data sets. And it can store different storage formats like HBase, RC file, and plain text. It uses indexing to accelerate the queries fastly. And it can operate on compressed data stored in Hadoop ecosystem. Now let's understand the Hive architecture. So basically, Hive is built on the top of Hadoop, and it is bottom to top approach where it consists of user interface and Hive command line and HD Insight, etc. on the top, and the metastore which is used to store the data, and HiveQL to process the data, and execution engine to execute the queries that the user requests, and finally the HDFS where all the data is stored in the Hadoop. Now let's understand deeply about the various components that are in the Hive architecture. First thing is user interface. Hive is a data warehouse infrastructure software that can create interaction between user and HDFS. So this user interface will act as the intermediate between the user and the HDFS. Now, Metastore. So Hive chooses respective database servers to store the schema or metadata of tables. So this metastore will be helpful for us to store the data and easily access data through Hive server. And Hive QL process engine will be able to uh, query the results, be able to produce the output from the metastore, and it is one of the replacements of traditional approach of MapReduce program. And execution engine, as I've already said, it is for executing the uh, tasks that user requests, and will be able to generate the results as same as the MapReduce results. And finally, the HDFS or HBase is something that the data storage techniques to store data in the file system. Now let's move on to the working with Hive. So firstly, we'll be able to download the data from any website. Later, we'll be creating a directory in HDFS. After that, we'll be loading the data into Hadoop distributed file system. And then we'll be creating the table in Hive. And finally, we'll be able to perform the queries in. Let's see the commands that we usually follow in order to execute the Hive commands. So firstly, we'll be downloading the data from GitHub using not only GitHub in any website, from any website. We directly download, we can download from that, or we can use wget command in order to get the data from through the link. So go to the later that we'll be downloading that file into our local file system. Next, we'll be going to the in Hadoop only. We'll be creating directories to and we'll be storing that CSV file in that respective directory for our needs. And later we'll be moving on to the HDFS where we'll be pushing or importing that that CSV file from local file system to the HDFS. So this is the command to uh, put command will be used to put that local system into the HDFS system. And later we'll be entering the Hive command uh, to start our Hive shell, and later we'll be creating the table name. Here in this command I have used some properties like terminated by comma, and table properties. These are all things this is the data set the data set that I have worked is unstructured data, which is of raw data. So for that, I have used these properties like terminated by comma. Whenever there is a comma, we need to differentiate that data into uh, differentiate the data, and uh, the table properties will be here we'll be skipping the first line. First line means first row of the data, which means which we'll be already creating here date double varchar with the table name. So here we'll be skipping that row in the CSV file that we are having, and later we'll be loading the CSV file data into our table. And finally, we can visualize the data like what we have done for SQL. We can do it for this as well, like using the command select star from table name. Now let's move on to the different queries that what we can perform in Hive R. Creating create table sample the the column name and column name and the data type. Next, we'll be using some other commands like partition by, show tables, describe, alter table. These are all the DTL commands in order to um, perform some operations like showing the data and altering the table and dropping the table if we require, and all those things can be performed um, in Hive as well. And coming to the DML operations, data manipulation operations like select from sample, where we'll be writing the clauses like we are familiar with MySQL, like writing where clause and sort out and sorting with AS ascending order, and all those things will be similarly doing it in Hive as well. And here we'll be having the override command, which is the Hive specific command, which is override command. And and we already know that max command to find the maximum of the column the rows, and the count command we can count how many queries, how many rows are there, or how many the type of data is there, and sum we can calculate the sum, etc. And here overwrite, and we can use the greater than symbol, less than symbol, and all those things. Yeah, thank you.